Captain Lee Daeho stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar, watching the stars stretch into lines as his ship jumped through hyperspace. The blue glow of the engine filled the bridge with an eerie light. 3 years of war had changed everything. 3 years of watching human ships burn while alien monsters laughed at their deaths. The communication panel beeped. Ensign Choi Min-ki turned toward the captain. His young face was pale. "Sir, we're getting the message from Fleet Command. They want us at Kepler Station immediately." Lee nodded. He had expected this call. The 7th Fleet was in trouble, and everyone knew it. The Vorthak Empire had been pushing humans back for months. Every battle ended the same way. More human ships destroyed, more colonies burned, more families dead. "How long until we reach Kepler?" Lee asked. 6 hours, sir," replied Lieutenant Kim Sora from the engine control station. Her hands moved quickly over the controls. "The new drive systems are working perfectly. We're moving faster than any ship in the fleet." The Blackstar was different from other human ships. It was bigger, stronger, and stranger. The hull was made from metal taken from destroyed alien ships. The weapons were a mix of human and alien technology. Some people called it a monster. Lee called it Hope. Commander Park Ji-woo walked up to Lee. His uniform was clean and pressed, but his eyes showed the stress of war. "Captain, I've been studying the reports from the outer systems. The Vorthak are gathering their largest fleet ever. Our scouts count over 200 ships." Lee felt his stomach drop. 200 Vorthak ships could destroy every human colony in the Outer Rim. The largest human fleet ever assembled had only 90 ships, and most of those were already destroyed. "What kind of ships?" Lee asked. "Bioships, mostly. They're usual living vessels that heal themselves when damaged. But there are reports of something new. Something big." Park pulled up a hologram showing fuzzy images from a scout ship. "Our people are calling it the World Render. It's 3 times larger than anything we've seen before." The hologram showed a massive shape that looked more like a sea creature than a spaceship. Tentacles and organic curves covered its surface. Strange lights pulsed along its length like a heartbeat. "How many people does it carry?" Lee asked. "Unknown. But if it follows, Vorthak patterns probably 10,000 warriors, maybe more." Lee walked to the main viewing screen. The stars looked peaceful, but he knew that was just an illusion. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were preparing to wipe out humanity forever. Ensign Choi spoke up again. "Sir, I'm picking up something strange. Vorthak communication signals, but they're not normal battle chatter." "What do you mean?" "They're talking about rituals, about something called the final cleansing. And sir," Choi paused, "they mentioned our ship by name. They know about the Blackstar." The bridge fell silent. If the aliens knew about their secret weapon, it meant they had spies, or their intelligence was better than anyone thought. Lieutenant Kim stood up from her station. "Captain, we should check the ship's systems. If they know about us, they might know about our special equipment." Lee nodded. "Do it. Full diagnostic on all experimental systems." Kim left the bridge quickly. The Blackstar's experimental systems were humanity's biggest secret. The ship could do things that seemed impossible. Its hull could heal itself like living tissue. Its weapons could punch through alien shields that stopped normal human attacks. Most important of all, it had something called the resonance drive. The resonance drive was built from alien technology that humans barely understood. It could make the ship phase through solid matter for short periods. During testing, the Blackstar had flown through an asteroid and emerged on the other side without a scratch. But the system was dangerous. Use it too long, and the ship might never return to normal space. Park moved closer to Lee. "Captain, there's something else. The intelligence report suggests this isn't just another battle for the Vorthak. They see this as their final victory. If they win at Kepler, they believe it will prove they're superior to all other species in the galaxy. And if we win, then we prove that humans deserve to exist." Lee thought about his family back on Earth. His wife and 2 children lived in New Seoul, believing their father was fighting to keep them safe. If the Blackstar failed, if Kepler Station fell, the Vorthak would have a clear path to Earth itself. The communication panel beeped again. This time it was Admiral Yoon Tae-jin from Kepler Station. His weathered face appeared on the screen, and Lee could see the exhaustion in his eyes. "Captain Lee, thank God you're coming. How soon can you be here?" 5 hours, sir. Good, I won't lie to you, Lee, we're in bad shape. The 7th Fleet took heavy losses in the last engagement. We have 31 ships left that can fight. The Vorthak are bringing over 200. Lee felt his crew listening to every word. These were impossible odds, but they had known this. Day would come. Humanity had been outnumbered from the beginning of the war. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "We're going to make our stand at Kepler. If we fall, there's nothing between the aliens and our core worlds. Your ship is our secret weapon, Lee. The Blackstar is our only chance." The connection ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Lee looked around at his crew. These people had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in the war. They knew they might not survive, but they came anyway. "Ensign Choi, send a message to all department heads. I want a full crew meeting in 1 hour." "Yes, sir." Lieutenant Kim returned to the bridge with a worried expression. "Captain, I've run full diagnostics on all systems. Everything is working, but I found something else. The alien metal in our hull is reacting to something. It's getting more active as we get closer to Kepler." "What does that mean?" "I think it can sense other Vorthak ships. The biometal wants to return to its own kind. We might have problems controlling it during battle." Lee nodded. Every advantage came with a price. The alien technology that made the Blackstar powerful also made it unpredictable. "Can you keep it under control?" "I think so, but if we take heavy damage, if the biometal starts healing itself too fast, it might start changing the ship in ways we don't expect." Park stepped forward. "Captain, I have an idea. Instead of hiding what makes us different, maybe we should use it. The Vorthak expect us to fight like humans. What if we fight like something else?" "Explain." "The resonance drive, the biometal, hull, the hybrid weapons. We're not really a human ship anymore. We're something new, something they've never faced before." Lee understood. For 3 years, humans had tried to beat the Vorthak at their own game. Better shields, stronger weapons, faster ships. But the aliens were always one step ahead. Maybe it was time to change the rules. "All right, Park. Start working on new tactics. Assume we're not bound by normal space combat rules." The ship's intercom crackled to life. "All hands, this is the captain. In 5 hours, we'll reach Kepler Station and join the fleet. You all know what we're facing. You all know the odds, but you also know what we're fighting for. Our families, our colonies, our right to exist in this galaxy." Lee paused, looking out at the stars again. "The USS Blackstar is not like other ships. We have capabilities that no one else has. Today we're going to show the Vorthak what humans can do when they stop playing by alien rules." The ship continued through hyperspace, carrying humanity's hopes toward the greatest battle in their history. The USS Blackstar dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler Station, and Captain Lee Dae-ho immediately saw how bad things really were. The massive space station hung in orbit around a dead planet, its hull scarred with weapon marks from recent battles. Around it floated the remains of the human fleet. 31 ships, Commander Park Ji-woo said quietly, counting the vessels on the scanner. Admiral Yoon wasn't lying. Lee studied each ship on the display. Most showed damage. Some were missing. Entire sections, held together by emergency hull patches. The crews had been fighting for months without proper repairs or supplies. "Incoming message from the Admiral," announced Ensign Choi Min-ki. Admiral Yoon Tae-jin's face appeared on the main screen. He looked older than Lee remembered, with new lines around his eyes and gray in his hair. War aged people quickly. "Captain Lee, welcome to Kepler Station." "Dock at Bay 7. We have a fleet meeting in 2 hours. The Blackstar moved slowly toward the station. As they got closer, Lee could see the damage more clearly. Sections of the station were completely destroyed. Emergency lights blinked where normal lighting should have been. This was humanity's last major base in the Outer Rim, and it was barely holding together. "Captain," Lieutenant Kim So-ra called from her engineering station, "the biometal in our hull is reacting strongly now. I can see it moving under the surface plates. It knows there are Vorthak ships somewhere nearby." How nearby? Hard to say, but the reaction is getting stronger every minute. The ship docked with a soft thump. Lee gathered his senior officers and headed for the station. The corridors of Kepler Station were crowded with wounded soldiers and refugees from destroyed colonies. Children sat quietly with their families, not understanding why their homes were gone. The fleet meeting was held in the station's main conference room. Lee counted 28 other ship captains around the table. These were the people who would decide humanity's fate in the coming battle. Admiral Yoon stood at the front of the room. Behind him, a holographic display showed the local star system. Red dots marked where Vorthak ships had been spotted. "Ladies and gentlemen, our scouts have confirmed what we feared. The Vorthak are bringing their largest fleet ever assembled. 247 ships, including their flagship." The room was silent. Everyone knew those numbers meant death for the human fleet. "The flagship is something new," the Admiral continued. "Intelligence calls it the World Render. It's a bio-dreadnought, 3 kilometers long. Our experts believe it can control other Vorthak ships through biological signals." A captain from the destroyer Phoenix raised her hand. "Admiral, with respect, we can't fight those numbers. We should evacuate the station and fall back to the inner colonies." Murmurs of agreement came from around the table. Lee understood their fear. These captains had watched too many ships die in hopeless battles. "If we retreat," Admiral Yoon said, "the Vorthak will have a clear path to Earth itself. There are no significant defensive positions between here and our home worlds. This is where we make our stand." The conference room door opened, and Dr. Han Mi-young entered. She was a small woman with intelligent eyes who had spent years studying alien psychology. Her research had helped humans understand their enemies better. "Doctor," Admiral Yoon said, "please share what you've learned about Vorthak battle doctrine." Dr. Han activated a new hologram showing Vorthak ship formations. "The Vorthak don't just fight battles. They perform rituals. This attack isn't simply about destroying our fleet. They call it the final cleansing. They believe that by defeating us here, they will prove their superiority to every other species in the galaxy." She pointed to the image of the World Render. "This ship is more than a weapon. It's a symbol of their entire empire. The bio-neural networks inside it connect to every other ship in their fleet. When it dies, the whole formation loses coordination." Commander Park leaned forward. "You're saying if we destroy the flagship, the rest of their fleet becomes vulnerable?" "Exactly. But getting close enough to attack it will be almost impossible. The World Render will be protected by their entire formation." Another captain spoke up. "So we need to get through 200 ships to reach one target. That's still suicide." Lee had been quiet during the meeting, but now he stood up. "What if we don't try to get through their formation? What if we go right into the middle of it?" The room erupted in shocked voices. Admiral Yoon raised his hand for silence. "Explain, Captain." "The Vorthak expect us to fight defensively. They expect us to protect the station and wait for them to attack. But what if we charge straight at them instead?" "That's madness," said the Phoenix's captain. "Is it?" Lee looked around the room. "For 3 years, we've fought the way they expected us to fight. We've tried to match their technology, their tactics, their strengths. And we've lost every major battle." Park stood up beside his captain. "The Blackstar has capabilities that no other ship possesses. We can phase through matter for short periods. We can take damage that would destroy any other vessel. What if we lead a direct assault on their center?" Dr. Han's eyes lit up with understanding. "The Vorthak psychology is based on predictability. They expect their enemies to behave logically. A suicidal charge into their strongest position would confuse them completely. Admiral Yoon studied the tactical display. Captain Lee, are you saying your ship can reach the world render? I'm saying we have to try. If we fight defensively, we lose slowly. If we attack their center, we might lose quickly, but we also might surprise them enough to do real damage. The room fell silent as every captain considered the plan. It was dangerous beyond belief, but it was also the only strategy that offered any hope of victory. Chief Petty Officer Lim Dong-woo entered the conference room and whispered something to Admiral Yoon. The Admiral's face went pale. Ladies and gentlemen, our outer scouts have detected the Vorthak fleet. They're 6 hours away from Kepler Station. Lee felt his heart rate increase. 6 hours. That was barely enough time to prepare for battle, let alone plan a complex assault. All captains, return to your ships, Admiral Yoon ordered. Prepare for combat operations. Captain Lee, I want to speak with you privately. The other captains filed out of the room, leaving Lee, Park, and Dr. Han with the Admiral. Lee, I want you to know what you're volunteering for, Admiral Yoon said. If your plan works, you'll be a hero. If it fails, you'll be dead, and the rest of us won't last much longer. I understand, sir. There's something else. Our intelligence suggests the Vorthak have been planning this battle for months. They know about the Blackstar. They know about your special capabilities. This might be a trap. Lee nodded. It doesn't matter. We can't run anymore. Somewhere, we have to stand and fight. Dr. Han pulled up data on her tablet. Captain, I've been studying the psychological profiles of Vorthak commanders. They're extremely confident, perhaps overconfident. They believe their bioships are superior to any human technology. If you can damage their flagship, if you can prove that human determination can overcome their biological advantages, it might break their morale completely. Park added, the key is speed and surprise. We hit them before they can adapt to our tactics. Admiral Yoon looked at each of them. Very well. Captain Lee, you'll lead the assault with the Blackstar. The rest of the fleet will follow you in. We'll call it Operation Thunderstrike. As they left the conference room, Lee saw Lieutenant Kim waiting in the corridor. Her face was worried. Captain, I've completed the full analysis of our systems. The resonance drive can keep us phased for a maximum of 15 minutes. After that, the ship's structure will become unstable. 15 minutes, Lee repeated. Is that enough time to reach the world render? If everything goes perfectly, yes. But sir, there's something else. The biometal in our hull is getting more active. I think it's trying to communicate with Vorthak ships. If they detect the signal, they'll know exactly where we are. Park frowned. Can you stop it? I can try to mask the signal, but I can't eliminate it completely. The biometal is part of our hull structure now. Removing it would mean tearing the ship apart. Lee thought about their options. The alien metal made the ship stronger, but it also made them vulnerable to detection. Every advantage had a cost. Do what you can to hide the signal. How long do we have? Kim checked her instruments. The Vorthak fleet will arrive in 4 hours and 37 minutes. Lee looked out through a viewport at the human fleet, 31 ships against 247. The odds were terrible, but humans had faced terrible odds before and survived. All right, people, let's get back to the ship. We have a battle to prepare for. As they walked through the station corridors, Lee saw the faces of the people they were fighting to protect. Families who had fled from destroyed colonies. Children who had never known peace. Soldiers who had given everything for a war they might not win. The USS Blackstar would lead humanity's last charge. In a few hours, they would either prove that human courage could overcome impossible odds, or they would die trying. Either way, the Vorthak would learn that humans never surrendered, without a fight. The Vorthak fleet appeared at the edge of the Kepler system like a swarm of angry insects. Captain Lee Dae-ho watched them on the main screen of the USS Blackstar, counting the bioships as they formed their attack pattern. 247 vessels, just as intelligence had predicted. They're beautiful, whispered Ensign Choi Min-ki, staring at the alien ships. and terrifying. Lee understood what Choi meant. The Vorthak bioships looked like living creatures from some deep ocean. Their hulls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that shifted from blue to purple to angry red. Tentacle-like projections moved along their sides, and organic weapon ports opened and closed like breathing mouths. "Contact from Admiral Yoon," reported Choi. The Admiral's face appeared on a smaller screen. "All ships, this is Admiral Yoon. The enemy fleet has arrived. All vessels prepare for Operation Thunderstrike. Captain Lee, you have command of the assault formation." Lee felt the weight of command settle on his shoulders. 31 human ships would follow the Blackstar into the heart of the enemy formation. Most of them would not survive. "Ensign Choi, open a channel to the fleet." "Channel open, sir." Lee stood up, knowing that his words would be the last thing many of these crews would hear. "This is Captain Lee of the USS Blackstar. Today we face impossible odds. The enemy outnumbers us 8-1. They have superior technology and thousands of years of experience in war." He paused, looking at his own crew. Commander Park Ji-woo stood ready at the tactical station. Lieutenant Kim So-ra had her hands on the experimental drive controls. Every person on the bridge was prepared to die for humanity. But they don't understand what makes humans special. They don't understand that we fight hardest when we have no hope of winning. They expect us to be afraid. Instead, we're going to show them what human courage looks like. The Vorthak fleet began moving toward Kepler Station in their traditional formation. The largest ships formed the center, with smaller vessels creating protective layers around them. At the very heart of the formation, the world render moved. Like a massive sea creature, it was 3 kilometers of living biometal and alien technology. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim called out, "the resonance drive is ready. All experimental systems are online. How long can we stay phased?" 15 minutes maximum. After that, the ship's molecular structure will become unstable." Commander Park studied the enemy formation on his tactical display. "Captain, I recommend we target this position." He highlighted a spot near the world render. "If we can materialize inside their defensive formation, we'll have clear shots at multiple ships." "Incoming transmission," Choi announced. "It's from the Vorthak fleet." "Put it on screen." The main display changed to show a creature that looked like a cross between an octopus and a man. Its skin was pale green, and multiple eyes blinked along its elongated head. When it spoke, its voice sounded like several people talking at once. "Humans of Kepler Station. I am Fleetmind Kethlar of the Vorthak Empire. You have 30 minutes to surrender unconditionally. Submit to absorption into our empire, and your death will be quick. Resist, and we will make your extinction a lesson for all species who dare to challenge our superiority." Lee stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "Fleetmind Kethlar, this is Captain Lee Dae-ho of the Terran Federation. We have a counteroffer." The alien's multiple eyes focused on Lee with interest. "You would negotiate?" "No negotiation. Here's our offer. Leave this system immediately, and some of your ships might survive what's coming." Fleetmind Kethlar's skin changed from pale green to angry red. "You amuse me, human. Your 30 ships against our mighty fleet? You will provide entertainment before you die." "We'll see about that." The transmission ended. Lee turned to his crew. "All hands. Battle. Stations. Begin Operation Thunderstrike." The human fleet began moving toward the Vorthak formation at maximum speed. Instead of the defensive positioning the aliens expected, the human ships accelerated directly toward the center of the enemy fleet. "Sir," Choi reported, "the Vorthak are confused. Their communications are asking why we're not protecting the station." "Good. Confusion is what we want." Lee looked at Lieutenant Kim. "Prepare the resonance drive. We're going in." The first weapons exchange began when the fleets were still thousands of kilometers apart. Vorthak bioplasma beams reached out like deadly lightning, striking the lead human ships. The destroyer Manila exploded in a ball of fire, taking her. Crew of 200 with her. but human weapons answered back. Kinetic accelerator rounds, traveling at incredible speeds, punched through bioship hulls. The aliens had not expected such powerful projectile weapons, and 3 of their ships died in the first exchange. "Resonance drive activating," Kim announced. Phasing in 3, 2, 1, the USS Blackstar seemed to become transparent. Stars were visible through the hull, and crew members could see through their own hands. They had entered phase space, where normal matter could not touch them. "All ahead full," Lee ordered. "Take us into their formation." The Blackstar flew directly through the first wave of Vorthak ships. Bioplasma beams passed harmlessly through the phased hull. The aliens' confusion increased as their sensors showed the human ship disappearing and reappearing unpredictably. "Materializing in enemy formation center," Kim reported. "Phase drive holding steady." The Blackstar became solid again, appearing suddenly in the middle of the Vorthak fleet. Enemy ships surrounded them on all sides, so close that Lee could see the organic details of their hulls. "All weapons, fire at will," Park ordered. The Blackstar's hybrid weapon systems opened up at point-blank range. Human kinetic rounds enhanced with alien energy cores tore through bioship hulls like paper. The close-range engagement meant the Vorthak couldn't fire without hitting their own ships. "Direct hit on 2 biocruisers," Park reported with satisfaction. "They're going down." But the resonance drive was putting enormous stress on the ship. Warning lights flashed across Kim's engineering console. "Captain, we can only stay phased for 10 more minutes. The biometal in our hull is fighting the phase effect." "Can you hold it together?" "I'll try, but the alien metal wants to return to normal space. It's like it's trying to rejoin the Vorthak ships." Around them, the human fleet pressed their attack against the confused alien formation. The surprise assault was working better than anyone had hoped. Vorthak ships, designed for coordinated swarm tactics, couldn't function properly when human vessels appeared in their midst. The cruiser Sol scored direct hits on a bio-dreadnought, while the destroyer Busan rammed an alien ship that was trying to escape. Human crews fought with desperate courage, knowing this was their only chance. "Sir," Choi called out, "the World Render is moving toward us. It's launching fighter craft." Lee could see the massive flagship approaching through the battle. Smaller bioships poured from its hull like angry bees. These were not just vehicles, but living creatures bred for space combat. "Distance to the World Render?" Lee asked. 2,000 kilometers and closing," Park answered. "Sir, I'm reading massive energy buildup in their main weapon systems. They're preparing to fire. Can we reach them before they shoot? Not unless we go deeper into phase. But Lieutenant Kim says the drive can't handle much more stress." Lee made his decision. "Kim, push the resonance drive to maximum. Get us close enough to ram the World Render." "Sir, that's insane. We'll never survive a collision at this speed." "We won't survive their main guns either." "Do it!" Kim's hands flew over her controls. "Increasing phase depth. Warning, ship's structure is becoming highly unstable." The Blackstar became even more transparent. Now the crew could barely see each other. The ship felt like it might dissolve at any moment, but it was moving faster than ever before. 1,000 kilometers to target," Park announced. "The World Render is trying to turn away, but it's too big to maneuver quickly." Through the phase effect, Lee could see the massive alien flagship growing larger on the screen. Its biometal hull was covered with weapon ports and organic sensor arrays. Strange lights pulsed along its length like a heartbeat. 500 kilometers, Park called out. "Sir, we need to materialize now if we're going to ram them." "Wait," Lee said, studying the approaching ship. "I have a different idea. Kim, can you materialize us inside their hull?" "Inside?" "Captain, that's incredibly dangerous. If something goes wrong, we could be trapped in solid matter. But if it works, we'll be inside their ship with full weapons ready." Kim checked her readings. "It's possible, but we only have one chance. The phase drive is at critical levels." "Do it!" Materialize us in the center of the world render, materializing in 3, 2, 1. The USS Blackstar became solid again, but this time they were inside the alien flagship. Emergency alarms screamed as the ship's systems registered their impossible position. They were in a massive organic cavity within the world render's hull, surrounded by pulsing bio-neural networks. "We're inside," Park said with amazement. "We're actually inside their ship." But their victory was short-lived. The world render's immune systems immediately recognized the human ship as a foreign object. Organic walls began moving toward them, trying to crush or digest the intruder. "Captain," Kim shouted over the alarms, "the alien ship is trying to absorb us, and the resonance drive is completely burned out. We can't phase again." Inside the world render, the USS Blackstar fought for survival against living walls that tried to crush it. Captain Lee Dae-ho watched organic matter flow toward his ship like thick liquid, attempting to digest the human vessel the way a stomach would break down food. "Shields at maximum," Commander Park Ji-woo reported. "But these aren't normal weapons. The ship itself is trying to eat us." Lieutenant Kim So-ra worked frantically at her engineering station. "The biometal in our hull is responding to the alien ship. It's trying to merge with the world render's structure. I'm fighting to keep our hull intact." Lee studied the organic chamber around them. Massive bio-neural cables pulsed with light, carrying information throughout the alien flagship. These were not just ship systems, but the nervous system of a living creature larger than most space stations. "Can we move?" Lee asked. "Engines are functional," Kim replied, "but we're surrounded by organic matter. If we fire the engines, we might damage the ship's internal structure." "Good. That's exactly what we want to do." Park looked up from his tactical display. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy flows through these neural networks. I think this chamber is the ship's brain center." "Then we're in the right place." Lee activated the ship's intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. We are currently inside the enemy flagship. Our mission is to destroy this ship from within. Chief Lim, prepare a boarding party. We're going to take the fight directly to them." Chief Petty Officer Lim Dong-woo's voice came back immediately. "Yes, sir. How many people do you want?" "Take 20 Marines. We need to find the ship's control center and plant explosives." "Sir," Park interrupted, "I'm detecting movement outside the ship. Large biomechanical creatures are approaching our position." On the main screen, shapes moved through the organic corridors surrounding them. They looked like a cross between machines and living creatures with metal limbs and organic heads. Their purpose was clear. They were the world render's immune system, coming to destroy the foreign object in their ship. "Weapons ready," Lee ordered. "Fire on anything that gets close." The first biomechanical creature reached the Blackstar's hull and began cutting through the outer armor with laser-like appendages. Human weapons answered back, destroying the creature in a burst of sparks and organic fluid. But more creatures were coming. Dozens of them moved through the ship's corridors, all heading toward the human vessel. "Chief Lim, how long until your boarding party is ready?" 2 minutes, sir." "You may not have 2 minutes." Lee watched more creatures approaching on the scanner. "Kim, can you seal our hull breach after the boarding party leaves?" "Yes, sir. But once they're outside the ship, we won't be able to get them back." Lee understood. This was a one-way mission. Chief Lim and his Marines would leave the Blackstar and try to destroy the world render from within, knowing they could never return. "Chief Lim, do you understand the situation?" "Yes, sir. We're not coming back. Are your people ready for that?" "Sir, we volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history. We knew it might end this way." The boarding party assembled in the ship's cargo bay. 20 Marines in combat armor, carrying enough explosives to destroy a city. These were volunteers, people who had lost families to Vorthak attacks and wanted revenge. "Opening cargo bay doors," Kim announced. The bay doors opened directly into the alien ship's organic interior. The Marines jumped across the gap, landing on the spongy, biometal surface of the world render's inner hull. Chief Lim led them into the pulsing corridors, following the largest neural cables toward what they hoped was the ship's brain center. "Cargo bay sealed," Kim reported. "But sir, we have a bigger problem. The ship's immune system isn't just trying to destroy us. It's trying to absorb our technology." Lee could see what she meant. Organic tendrils had attached themselves to the Blackstar's hull and were slowly working their way through the armor. Where they touched, human metal was changing, becoming more like the biometal of Vorthak ships. How long before they break through? Maybe 10 minutes. But sir, I think I can use this to our advantage. If I let them partially absorb our ship, I might be able to access their neural networks. Is that safe? No, sir. If I make a mistake, they could take control of our entire ship. But if it works, I could disrupt their communications with the rest of the fleet. Lee thought quickly. Chief Lim and his Marines were fighting their way through the ship's interior. Outside, the human fleet was still battling against impossible odds. Every minute counted. Do it. But be ready to cut the connection if things go wrong. Kim began allowing the organic tendrils to penetrate the ship's hull in controlled ways. "I'm establishing interface protocols. This is like nothing we've ever tried before." On the main screen, Lee could see the battle outside through the world render's own sensors. The human fleet was taking heavy losses. The destroyer Incheon was gone, along with the cruiser Daegu. But the survivors were still fighting, still following the Blackstar's lead into the enemy formation. "Connection established," Kim announced. "I'm inside their neural network. Captain, this is incredible. The world render doesn't just command the fleet. It is the fleet. Every Vorthak ship is connected to this brain." "Can you disrupt the connection?" "I'm trying, but their security systems are fighting me. It's like trying to perform surgery on a living brain while it's trying to heal itself." Explosions echoed through the ship's hull. Chief Lim's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, we've reached what looks like the main brain chamber. It's huge, bigger than our entire ship. We're planting charges now." "How long until detonation?" 5 minutes, sir." Park looked up from his station. "Captain, the biomechanical creatures have stopped attacking us. They're all moving toward Chief Lim's position." Lee felt his stomach drop. The ship's immune system had identified the real threat. "Chief Lim, you have company coming." "We see." "Them, sir. We'll hold them off as long as we can." The sound of gunfire came through the communication system. Human weapons against alien biomechanics fighting in the corridors of a living ship. Lee could only listen and hope his Marines would complete their mission. "Sir," Kim called out, "I've found something in their neural network. The world render isn't just controlling the fleet through technology. It's using some kind of psychic connection. All the Vorthak ships share a collective consciousness." "What does that mean?" "It means when this ship dies, it won't just lose communication with the fleet. The entire collective mind will be damaged. The other ships might lose the ability to coordinate at all." Park's tactical display lit up with new information. "Captain, I'm reading energy buildup in the world render's main weapons. They're preparing to fire on the human fleet. Can you stop them?" "Not from here. The weapon systems are in a different part of the ship." Lee made a decision that would haunt him forever. "Kim, can you use the neural connection to fire their weapons at their own ships?" I think so. But sir, that would mean using alien technology to commit mass destruction." "Are you sure?" "They started this war. They've destroyed our colonies and killed our people, turned their own weapons against them." Kim's hands moved over her controls, interfacing with alien systems through the organic connection. "I'm accessing their targeting systems. This is harder than I thought. Their computer networks think like living creatures, not machines." More explosions came from inside the ship. Chief Lim's voice was strained. "Charges are set, Captain. 3 minutes to detonation. But we're surrounded. I don't think we're going to make it out." "Chief, your mission is complete. You've given humanity a chance to win this war." "It's been an honor serving with you, sir." The communication went silent. Lee knew his Marines were dying somewhere in the alien ship's corridors, sacrificing themselves so humanity could survive. "Got it," Kim announced. "I'm in control of their main weapons, targeting their own fleet now." The World Render's massive bioplasma cannons swiveled toward the Vorthak formation. Energy that was meant to destroy the human fleet instead fired on alien ships. 3 bio-cruisers exploded before the other Vorthak vessels realized what was happening. 2 minutes to detonation, Park announced. "Kim, how long until you can cut our connection to their ship? I need at least 90 seconds to safely disconnect. If I do it too quickly, the feedback could destroy our computer systems. We don't have 90 seconds. Then we're going with the ship when it explodes." Lee looked around at his crew. These people had followed him into an impossible situation, and now they were all going to die together. But they had accomplished something amazing. They had proven that human courage and ingenuity could overcome any enemy. "Sir," Kim called out suddenly, "I'm detecting something else in their neural network. There's another ship nearby, a Vorthak vessel that's not connected to the collective consciousness." "What do you mean?" "It's damaged, drifting. Its bio-neural systems are offline. If we could reach it..." "How far?" 2 kilometers. But we'd have to fly through the World Render's internal structure to reach the hull breach." Lee made the fastest decision of his life. "Do it. Plot a course through their ship. We're going to fly out of here." 30 seconds to detonation. Park announced, "All hands, brace for emergency maneuvers. We're flying through a living ship." The USS Blackstar flew through the dying World Render like a bullet through living tissue. Captain Lee Dae-ho held onto his command chair as the ship tore through organic corridors and bio-neural networks, racing against time to escape before. Chief Lim's explosives detonated. 10 seconds to detonation, Commander Park Ji-woo shouted over the noise of tearing metal and screaming alien biosystems. Lieutenant Kim So-ra fought to keep the ship stable as they blasted through chamber after chamber of the massive flagship. "Hull breach detected ahead, 200 meters. 5 seconds, Park announced. The Blackstar burst through the World Render's outer hull just as the explosives detonated. Behind them, the 3-kilometer flagship began tearing itself apart from the inside. Nuclear fire spread through its bio-neural networks like poison through veins. "We're clear," Kim reported, but her voice was strained. "Hull damage on multiple decks. We're venting atmosphere." Lee watched the World Render die on the main screen. The massive ship writhed like a wounded animal, its bioluminescent patterns flashing in distress. Then, section by section, it began to explode. The death of the collective consciousness sent shock waves through space itself. "What's happening? To the Vorthak fleet?" Lee asked. Ensign Choi Min-ki checked his communications array. "Sir, their ships are losing formation. I'm picking up confused signals from all across their fleet. Some ships are attacking each other." The effect was exactly what Dr. Han Mi-young had predicted. Without the World Render's collective consciousness to guide them, the Vorthak ships were like individual animals suddenly cut off from their hive mind. They had no experience making independent decisions. "Sir," Park reported with excitement in his voice, "the human fleet is pressing their advantage. Admiral Yoon is ordering all ships to attack the confused alien vessels." Lee could see it happening on the tactical display. Human ships designed for independent operation were tearing through the disorganized Vorthak formation. Ships that had fought as a coordinated swarm were now easy targets for focused human attacks. The cruiser Seoul destroyed 2 bioships that had been firing on each other. The destroyer Busan led a group of smaller vessels against a cluster of alien ships that seemed unable to decide whether to fight or flee. "Captain," Kim called out, "we have a problem. The biometal in our hull is trying to merge with that damaged Vorthak ship. If I can't stop it, we might become part of their vessel." Lee looked at the alien ship they had almost collided with. It was smaller than the World Render, but still massive by human standards. Its bioluminescent patterns were dim, and sections of its hull looked dead. "Can you fight the merging process?" "I'm trying, but the biometal has a mind of its own. It wants to return to Vorthak control. The ship shuddered as alien metal began, flowing between the two vessels. Lee could see organic tendrils reaching out from the damaged Vorthak ship, trying to establish connections with the Blackstar's biometal components. "Sir," Choi announced, "I'm detecting life signs on the alien vessel. Survivors. How many?" "Hard to tell through their biometal hull. Maybe 50 or 60 Vorthak crew members." Lee made a decision that surprised everyone on the bridge. "Prepare a boarding party. We're going to capture that ship." "Sir?" Park asked in disbelief. "Think about it. We have a damaged Vorthak vessel with a small crew. If we can take control of it, we'll have access to their technology and intelligence." Kim looked up from her engineering station. "Captain, that might actually solve our biometal problem. If we establish a controlled connection with their ship, I might be able to regulate the merging process." "Chief Lim is gone," Lee said quietly, thinking of the Marines who had died inside the World Render. "But we still have security teams. Prepare for boarding action." The battle outside continued to turn in humanity's favor. With their collective consciousness destroyed, the Vorthak fleet was falling apart. Some ships tried to retreat, but human vessels pursued them. Others simply drifted in space, their crews apparently unable to function without guidance from the World Render. "Boarding party ready," reported the security chief over the intercom. "Proceed with caution. We want prisoners and intelligence, not just destruction." Lee watched on the internal monitors as human Marines crossed between the two ships through temporary airlocks. The Vorthak vessel's corridors were dark and filled with the strange organic atmosphere their species breathed. The boarding action was brief. The surviving Vorthak crew, cut off from their collective consciousness, offered little resistance. They seemed lost and confused, like children who had suddenly been separated from their parents. "Ship secured," the security chief reported. "We have 47 prisoners and access to their computer systems. Any useful intelligence?" "Sir, you need to see this for yourself." Lee left Commander Park in charge of the bridge and made his way to the captured Vorthak vessel. The interior was like nothing he had ever seen. Walls pulsed with organic life, and the floor felt spongy under his feet. Everything was designed for creatures who thought and lived as part of a collective. In what seemed to be the ship's control center, human technicians were examining alien computer systems. But these weren't really computers in the human sense. They were more like artificial organs that processed information through biological processes. "Captain," one of the technicians called out, "we've accessed their navigation records. This fleet wasn't just attacking Kepler Station. It was heading for Earth." Lee felt his blood turn cold. "What do you mean?" "According to their plans, this battle was supposed to be quick. Destroy the human fleet here, then continue to Earth for the final assault. Sir, they have detailed maps of our home system. They know the locations of our major cities." The technician brought up a holographic display showing Earth and its surrounding space. Red markers indicated planned attack points: New York, London, Tokyo, New Seoul. The Vorthak had been planning to destroy human civilization completely. How? Long until they would have reached Earth? 2 weeks, sir. Maybe less. Lee realized how close humanity had come to extinction. If the Blackstar had not succeeded, if Operation Thunderstrike had failed, Earth itself would have been under attack. Within days. "Sir," another technician called out, "we're finding records of other Vorthak fleets. This wasn't their only attack force." Lee studied the data with growing alarm. The holographic display showed Vorthak fleets throughout the galaxy, each one targeting a different species. Humanity was not their only enemy. The Vorthak Empire was trying to conquer everyone. "Get all this intelligence back to Admiral Yoon immediately," Lee ordered. Back on the Blackstar's bridge, the battle was ending. Of the original 247 Vorthak ships, fewer than 50 were still operational. Most were trying to retreat, but human. Vessels pursued them relentlessly. "Admiral Yoon is requesting a status report," Choi announced. "Tell him the Blackstar is operational and we have valuable intelligence. How many of our ships survived?" Park checked his tactical display. 12. Ships still combat effective, sir. We lost 19 vessels, but we saved the fleet. Lee thought about the cost of victory. Hundreds of human crew members had died in the battle. Chief Lim and his Marines had sacrificed themselves inside the world render. But they had achieved something no one thought possible. "Sir," Kim reported, "I've stabilized the biometal in our hull. We're no longer in danger of merging with alien ships, but I've learned something interesting from the connection." "What?" "The biometal can be programmed. With the right commands, we can make it behave like normal human technology. We might be able to retrofit other ships with this capability." Lee nodded. The technology they had captured could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But more importantly, they had proven something to themselves and every other species watching this conflict. Humanity would not surrender. They would not kneel to alien empires. When faced with extinction, humans would fight with everything they had and find ways to win against impossible odds. "Ensign Choi, send a message to Earth. Tell them the Vorthak fleet has been destroyed. Tell them humanity is still free." Lee looked out at the debris field that had once been the most powerful fleet in the galaxy. The USS Blackstar floated among the wreckage, scarred but victorious. In the distance, the surviving human ships were already beginning rescue operations, searching for survivors from the damaged vessels. The war was not over. The intelligence they had captured showed that other Vorthak fleets were still operating throughout the galaxy. But something fundamental had changed. The myth of Vorthak superiority was broken. Other species would hear about this battle and know that the Empire could be defeated. "Captain," Park said quietly, "what do we do now?" Lee thought about the question. They had won an impossible victory, but the galaxy was still full of threats. Humanity would need to be stronger, smarter, and more united than ever before. "Now we go home," Lee said. "We repair our ships, we share what we've learned, and we prepare for the next battle. Because after today, every species in the galaxy knows something new about humanity." "What's that, sir?" "That we don't stay down when someone tries to destroy us. We get back up, we fight harder, and we make sure it never happens again." The USS Blackstar turned toward Earth, carrying news of humanity's greatest victory.